Okay, so as I'm sitting here at what could possibly be the last day, I've understood from day one that the person wanted to be with, so I'm not revealing the identity of the person or trying to speak badly or have bad intentions in what I'm saying is they wanted to meet with one person who just happens to have, in their mind, passed away when they were going to meet them. And then as I'm seeing it, maybe this one person they wanted to meet at some point in time was able to understand that that person only felt comfortable with that one person of that creed or nationality, and that creed or nationality happens to be me. But then as I'm looking at it, at that day, I had understood that this was just a pure like hierarchy of needs, that ultimately the winner in that would be someone that could provide that type of protection, and that was it. Like, it was all. But then at the end of it, it's like, I'm just not that type of person. Naturally, it's like, if you confide in someone, they're able to. So from that angle, maybe where I would be the defender or the winner thereof would be that the reliability factor, right? So then it's like, okay, the other people in the life of this person not only wants to stay provider, but also cares about what nationality the contender would be. Whereas, like, if I myself move forward with someone else, I wouldn't have to think of that because I wouldn't even have to consider it, because it's like I saw from, my own eyes that, once you were a steady provider to the level where you had connections and everything that would override that natural sense of, like, trustworthiness in that circle. And then I sort of thought that the whole thing comes down to a pure psychological need basis, like where somehow my own circle just disavowed me from what the other person ultimately wanted. And so my own circle kind of, even though they viewed me on a high pedestal when I was known as another person, it's like from that previous experience that whoever this was, MA was like a guy who could pull the strings in a way that would win majesty even in another life thereof. That and then the non-acceptance of that character kind of learns that it wasn't possible to win in that, or it was only able to get people to see that at the end of it, sometimes when it goes too far, or you see that it's reversible, sometimes out of love you just say, maybe it's time to just move away from it, or try to, like, even if you want to be with a certain person, at the end of it you space yourself in a way that just protects yourself, because no matter how powerful the other person may be, when it comes down to a pure mechanism of survival, and you have to kind of override that psychological need of this is what attracts me, or this is what attracts the other person, and then at the end of it, it doesn't make sense to sit there and defend something that's just going to be your downfall, or the downfall there, because at the end of it, if your whole circle perishes and there's just nothing left in survival mode, you should basically leave the situation. But then the only reason for me to have loyalty to it is because I know that there's things that exist here that don't exist where I'm going. So even when I'm down to the last man standing, and I one day wish to return to the nationality of the people I am, then at the end of it, because I know how to control the keys of destiny where I am, regardless of how it would ultimately pan out, or it's just the way it's done is like I've been misjudged to a level where there can be nothing but pluses, because at the end of it, the natural state of being is to eliminate that one man standing. But then, since it doesn't need to be done, he's been misjudged to a level where he's even protected from wrongdoing, to a level where he can just keep going. And maybe that's ultimately why I'm shooting live, is that it's really down to that last. It's like, I don't even know, the person that's going to verify where I am even understands where I'm coming from, that, ultimately even the person that I could win over has already favored the other guy to a level where the other guy might even be in the room, unbeknownst to me, and he just walks away because he ultimately will feel the same as me, even if I was my enemy. And it really came down to, I wanted to eliminate the contender. If you've been favored to a level where, you don't even feel like the other person's a threat, like you could be standing in the room with them, you would probably think it was funny if they said that they wanted to even compete with you. At that level, it's just maybe don't speak will be good, right? Because if that's even the come, or if it's even in the cards, speaking on it would speak you out of existence formally. But at that point, because the past actions of this said person was so bad that people can see that whatever he says is just pure hate. And at that point, there's no way to actually formally lose. But at the same time, it does affect how my own people view me. And so when I see my own window of opportunity closing and just being accepted, generally speaking, even if I have material possessions that would override or overrule that whole, at the end of it, what I heard from the people who I once rolled with was, if you remain MA, then eventually you could be accepted. Whereas, like, it's even unclear whether going back to who I am or it's even going to benefit me. And so then I feel kind of like Weird Al Yankovic when he's making his video where everyone feels he's fell off the wagon and they're wondering, like, is this real? Is this AI? And then I'm looking at it, and the name of the video sums it all up: Real or Cake. And then in the video, Real or Cake, he's so desperate in trying to get people to see that this is not fake that he's even cutting his own arm with a knife on camera. But then for me, it's like I'm actually saying verbatim what's real. So at the end of this, I'm feeling not protected, not safe, but the way I'm pitching myself literally protects me from a demise. And so at that point, you have to see that this is just not like a robbery for financial gain or anything. This is just pure survival. I'm wrestling myself with. Maybe they've even pinpointed where I'm at. And then at the end of it, even the authorities can see that this isn't fucking safe. But then at the end of it, it's true. It's like a purely psychological level. Do you know who you're dealing with? Because if they're in the room with you, you must have some knowledge of what it is. And at the end of it, by not speaking about that particular dealing or whatever, at the end of it, that's what wins it over. Because it's like, I don't know. I'm thinking too, it's like you're coming in and you feel like, okay, the other person has some type of knowledge, and then maybe it's even you're building up like an aura of mistrust just by that person knowing certain things, and then you're coming up to that person, where in reality that person might be just trying to get the info it needs to then levy the situation, or like it's just pure survival. It's just like, maybe the reason the person doesn't choose to come outside is because it knows that statistically there's some sort of threat by going outside that will eliminate that person out of the game. So at the end of the day, people are just judging it like, oh, he doesn't go there like he normally does. Or it's like they're so against you to the level where they can't see the level of pain it causes you to get falsely accused. And then it keeps retracting it. And it's just like, it's making it like you're going to cry about it to have a financial gain. And what they don't get is that I already have what I want. And at the end of it, just for them to withdraw is fucking brilliant. You know what I'm saying? At the end of it, that's exactly what the person wants. It's just for them to just sort of give up on that. Like, we can put it on in an instant. because I don't even care about that. It's like at the end of it, it's like what was done behind the back of the country ultimately falls into my lap, but then the person retracting it feels like, they don't want to hold on to that. But then if I choose not to speak, it goes into the ham because they don't want that to disappear, to not exist. And so as they're walking away, is there something that they can trust that person to not speak on, or maybe in reality just leaving it for a couple of months and then maybe getting some of it would seal the fate of destiny? Because it's like, even when it comes down to, is this person so stupid that they're going to log in right now, this particular moment, without factoring in everything? It's like, so at the end of the day, this is just down to that last, like, everyone wants to justify their actions, and nobody wants humiliation or indignation, or if they're on part of a team, it's raw survival, that they want their team to thus pull ahead. And what kind of levels it off for me is that I'm the only one that can remain situated without losing at the end of the whole thing. And then they're looking at me like I have bad intentions because I'm trying to conceal myself. And then at the end of it, it's just like, okay, I know now how this country feels about me. But at the end of it, what I've gained from this staying put, lodged, and just waiting it out is going to outweigh any harm or unfairness. And so sitting there crying about it doesn't help me. At the end of it, even if that duration of suffering was just so fucking long, maybe the payment for the suffering is all that can be rendered. And then at the end of that, that will be the win of that, maybe. As in, you can buy groceries, and then at the end of it, it's like even the everyone thinks it's about the royalties, but really it's not. And at the end of that, it's just like, okay, I feel sort of like the religion that's trying to pull us against us has went so far in their hate that even the scientific community in that country sees that it's starting to open up to that it's not good to be prejudiced on that level. So even people like me have protection in that country, which is ironical because that's exactly what doesn't exist. It's like they've come up to it. How do you exist in a country that hates your guts? To where you go out of your home, you're going to die. And so at the end of it, that would be like Iraq. If you have blue eyes and you go out, you're trying to conceal who you are. And so you have to be some sort of master to even be able to pull that off. And that's really the story of some of the characters that you hear about. It's like, what was the secret of the paladin? It's like, you almost have to be like a marshmallow. The artist Marshmallow, he conceals his identity in the music. It's like he appears as like I don't know, his head's a marshmallow and he's got X's on his eyes. And then at the end of it, he doesn't show what his voice is. He doesn't, the whole music is designed to conceal the identity of the author and then proceed to give the message. And then at the end of the day, if you want to be a survivor over there, because they know that statistically the odds are stacked against you, that if you have blue eyes there, you're going to die. And at the end of that's why that they feel that way. But at the end of the day, for me to stay place, all I want is basically to have what I have. And so maybe the other person feels some type of comfort in being comforted, but at the same time, because it adds to the statistical danger against myself, to where it puts me in a position where I have to defend myself to a level where it's unreasonable, or even the enemy feels, at the end of it, you just have to be ashamed. Sort of, if there's not something so valuable that I don't know, but then that value might not be monetary, and that's the killer of it, is that maybe it's something that has no value to them. At that point, what's the point for them? Probably none. It's like, I don't know. America doesn't see the point in it, or even the logic in it. And then it's like, what they're thinking is, why not take destiny into your own hands? But then at the end of it, to live in a country so clueless might be better to not be able to have anywhere to live. I just don't feel like maybe taking yourself out of the equation is going to work to your benefit. So it's like a raw survival, like, Anyway, that was my stream for the day. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, yeah, have a good one.